Are you a liberal?
I think I'm relatively liberal. I grew up really conservative, and I kind of, as I experienced the world, I became more liberal.
You did?
Yeah.
Conservative meaning what?
I grew up Republican, and then I became a Democrat when I was older.
What made you switch?
I felt like there was a lot of hatred, and growing up, I was a very moderate Republican, and I think I'm still relatively moderate today, but a little bit, like if there's a line between Republican and Democrat, I was here, and now I'm like a little bit over the line. But what made me switch is there was just a lot of like hateful rhetoric that didn't feel very inclusive. And for me, my first rule about like treat others the way you want to be treated,
Right.
there was a lot of like anger, and I didn't really like that anger. And so for me, that kind of put me over the edge.
So at the time you were conservative, are you saying that the conservatives were angry or the liberals were angry?
When I was growing up, I would say the liberals were angry. And then I'd say like with the rise of Trump, I think that there was a shift where then the Republicans really became angry. And so a lot of that kind of like vitriol and hatred towards others made me feel less comfortable with the direction the party was going in.
And so you switched party because the conservatives were angry?
Mainly because Trump had different views than I felt my views were growing up as a Republican. My views growing up as a Republican, were about family and about love and forgiveness. And I didn't really feel that Trump represented that. And so that was kind of where
Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I am hopeful with a lot of his economic policies. I think he's doing a lot of things that kind of needed to be done, especially like cost cutting.
Yeah.
So I'm very hopeful with this term, his focus on economics. That to me is something that's important. Even if I'm a Democrat, I think that's important.
And when you come back home, when he's done, when you come back home?
If the party kind of it doesn't go more in his direction, I think I would consider becoming a Republican again.
But it's going all the way in his direction.
Yeah, so that's where I'm like, hard pass.
Do you love Trump?
No.
You don't love him?
No.
And why not?
I think that he has a lot of hateful views and a kind of bullying people and a lot of his like social issue stuff I don't feel is inclusive or loving and warm, and that's where I kind of like.
Really? Your boyfriend, is he liberal or conservative?
Liberal.
Oh God, you don't have a chance. And so tell me one thing that's hateful about Donald Trump.
I feel like, he'll like bully, I'm trying to think of like a specific example, but he's bullied people with like speech impediments, or he's made negative comments about like people who were in the military, calling like there was, a military parade where he said like some of them were weak because they're in wheelchairs because they were injured in war, like that kind of stuff.
But to be in a wheelchair and be in the military, you're all weak. You can't be strong, right?
Well, you're in a wheelchair because you sacrificed your legs or your ability to defend our country. So for me, that's a very strong person. I wish I was that brave.
Really?
Yeah.
The president, do you like the fact that he shut down the borders?
I think that it's important that people come in legally to our country,
right,
follow the law. I don't necessarily like how he shut down the border, especially how it's treated families.
What do you mean by that?
Like children who are put into camps and separated from their parents. For me, that's like when I talk about being a Republican growing up, it was all about family values. And I think that's a very cruel way of shutting down the border.
Which is crueler, these people bringing their children over here, or Trump protecting America by shutting them off and sending them back? Which is worse?
I think both are sad.
But which is worse?
I don't know. I think if they're bringing their kids over here, it's probably because they're in a really tough situation where they're coming from.
But which is worse, to illegally bring your children into America or for Trump to send them back?
I don't think it's worse for Trump to send them back, but I think it's worse for him to separate kids from their moms and send them back without family. That, to me, is worse.
But if the family sends them over here without parents, Should he send them back without parents?
Oh, if they're sent over without parents, then,
Okay.
he's not separating. For me, it's the separating of families that I find really.
Obama started doing that, right?
I don't know enough about
Remember
that.
Obama?
Yeah, I know, but I don't know his policy.
Oh, did
but
you
if he
vote
was
for him?
doing that, I would say that that's also bad.
So because of time, so you're happy with the way he shut down the border? Are you happy he's sending the illegal aliens back?
I think that if you're entering our country, you should probably do it legally. So I think it's okay for him to send them back. I think it becomes tough when they have, they move here and their families are here and they've grown up here. And then if they've been here for 10 years, or for some of them, they don't even speak their language at home, I think we have to find a way to make that work, because that's really tough if you're... I don't know what I would do if I was sent to another... If I was sent, let's say I was sent back to China and I don't speak Chinese, I'd be like, I don't know what to do here.
But if you were sent back home to China, it'd be a different story, because they're sending you home. And so Trump is sending these people back. It doesn't even matter if they've been here 100 years, but they came here illegally. They still should be sent back home, right?
I think we have to look into that, because, if they've been here for 10 years, they're probably part of our economy. They're culturally part of our country. I think it'd be really difficult to just send those people back.
But they still broke the law. Why would it be difficult?
What?
They still broke the law to get here. They're illegal people. Why should it be difficult to send them back?
Because they've now, it's not just like a law of black or white. It's also how do we treat people? And sending them back, they might not have family in their home country. They might not know anyone there. They might not speak the language anymore.
But they're still going home.
But my book is about belonging. What
Right.
does make home? If you don't have any family, if you don't speak the language, a place isn't really home anymore.
If a squatter were to move into your house, they were there for 6 months. You finally come home and a squatter is in your home.
Yeah.
Would you say, you know what, you've been here for 6 months, you're real comfortable, you can stay?
I think,
or would you want them thrown out?
that would be an oversimplification of the border issue, in my
Why is
opinion.
that?
Because it's 6 months and they're living in your home. That's different.
How's that different? The illegals was in our home for 6 months, our country. What's the difference?
6 months, yeah. Then they should probably be sent back.
How about 6 years? Let's say the squatter stayed in your house, you over in China for 6 years. You come back to America, and there's some squatters are living in your home, and they're all comfortable, they're parking in the garage, they're working, they have little children. Would you throw the squatters out?
I think that that's an oversimplification of our border policy.
How's
in
that
that
different?
Case. Because they're at my private property. That's different than, having them come to the country and work in our economy. It's a different relationship between a government and the people in it than having them in your private property.
But our country is our private property. It belongs to America.
I think that's a simplification.
What do you
I
mean?
don't know if
It's a right or wrong. Either it's right or it's wrong.
It's not everything's black and white.
Like what?
What do you mean? Not everything's black and white.
Like
in this
what
case,
is-
I don't think it's as black and white. I think you are saying you either have to choose white or black. And I'm saying,
Right.
there's gray areas.
Where's the gray area?
Well, let's say if kids grew up here and they've been here since they were children, let's say their parents are illegals and they were born on U.S. soil, they're born here.
Right,
They grew up here.
right. But they go back with their parents.
If their parents are being deported, but if they're, they might have the choice to stay here. If they grew up here and now they're an adult, or they're, 16 and they don't even speak their home country language, it's not really their home anymore, the other country. If they were born on U.S. soil, this is their home.
One other quick thing that you disagree with the Great White Hope about. Did you know I call him the Great White Hope?
Who is that? I don't know that phrase.
You don't know who the Great White Hope is?
No.
Donald
Is this
Trump.
Moby Dick? Is this the whale at the end? Are we trying to catch the whale?
Donald Trump. Do
Okay.
you agree he is the Great White Hope?
I think I disagree with that. I don't know what that means,
You
but
don't know.
I don't think I'm going to agree with him for what I said.
So let me ask. He's doing an amazing job, right?
No.
He's white.
That I can agree with you on. Yes,
and
I
it's
can
great.
agree. Not for me.
Is it great to make America great again?
I think that is a very vague statement.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's like a tagline. It's like a tagline's supposed to like make you believe in something, but it doesn't. That specific tagline has things in it that I don't agree with.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you support abortion?
No. Or
Yeah.
yes, I'm pro-choice. Excuse me.
So you're in support of a woman killing a man's child in the womb?
I am not in a support of killing babies, but I'm in the support of killing things that aren't babies yet.
If a woman gets pregnant, what part of that is not the baby?
Because
it's not a baby.
It's not fully formed yet.
But it's still a baby, right?
I don't think so.
When you're a little child, you're first born, right?
Yeah,
and you're growing
that's
up.
older.
Are you a child, or are you an
baby?
adult or a child?
That's a child or baby, but that's not what's in the womb.
It's still a baby.
I'm against killing a baby that came out of the womb. That's murder.
Right. But why are you against killing a baby in the womb?
Because I'm not sure it's a baby yet.
But it is a baby.
That's what you believe. That's not what I believe.
What do you think it is?
I think up until until it's like has a brain and like has functions, it's not yet a baby, and so I don't think it's something that we need to protect. And if anything, I think we should protect the mother and father who maybe they're financially not ready to have that child. Maybe they can't support it. Maybe when it becomes a baby, they can't actually give it a good life. And so for those reasons, I don't think as long as it's still not a baby, I don't think it should be born.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you have wanted your parents to kill you when you first conceived?
If I was a baby, I wouldn't want that. But if I'm not a baby,
but
that's
how
their
do you
choice.
know when it's not a baby?
I don't unfortunately know enough about the science of things.
Right.
But for me, like I think a baby is probably something that has like cognitive function at a minimal layer.
Really?
Yeah. If something has if it can't think, it doesn't have a soul.